Hai hai. Halo 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 halo. Ada.
Hola, amigo.
Amigo. Halo, selamat malam. Terus.
Hola, amigo.
Halo, selamat malam. Selamat datang di stream Mirai. Dan kali ini kita akan melanjutkan atau game bersama Hani-chan. Hani-chan, konbanwa.
Hai. Hola, amigo.
Halo, amigo.
Jadi
Om.
aku jadi cosplay dulu pas apa? Spanyol. Spanyol. Portugis sih lupa. Hola, amigo.
Bodoh amat. Ya, lo bakal kok kata Hirasang. Terus ada Jordan. Halo Jordan, selamat datang,
Halo,
selamat
welcome.
malam, selamat menonton. Yang lain juga, hai. Kita lanjut gamenya yang Steam Prison. Terakhir kali kita main sampai mana, hayo?
Sampai si Hani di penjara. Ketemu dengan
Siapa sih namanya lupa?
sipir sayang
Sasen.
Sasen
Ya. Hai. Ya, Haji Mari Masyoka ada kan di layarnya Hani-chan gamenya atau enggak?
Sudah.
Sip.
Go, ikuzo.
Ikuzo.
Sorry.
Ikuzo. Hai. I ignore my fatigue and began to walk again. Nah. Oh. I turned off the main road and went down a narrow side street, emerging into a quiet area. Ikitai na. Aku sebenarnya pengen banget pergi ke tempat-tempat kayak gini. Gak tau kayak yang
apokaliptik.
tapi
tahu.
Kayak yang seru aja gitu berpetualang di situ dengan suasana kayak gitu. Karena sih.
Mirai senangnya begitu ya.
Iya dozo.
The smell?
It smelled of dirt, blood, mud, and dust. It was an unsettling smell, as if all things contaminated had been gathered in one place.
Still, I don't have any choice.
I checked all the buildings along the main road and found nothing. Moving outward out to the buildings farther away was the logical next step.
I wonder if I'll find anything.
I'd resolved to accept anything that offered shelter, but to no avail. The other residents were too preoccupied with their own survival to help me with mine. Gak ada yang menerima. Tampung aku gitu. Cari kotak Hani-chan terus tulis pungut aku gitu.
Ini sepi banget.
Gak ada orang. Tapi katanya setiap rumah tadi penuh gitu ya. I didn't have the luxury of lapsing into contemplation or of being picky about what I was looking for. I couldn't stay clean and beautiful forever if I was going to survive. Kawaiso. Dosta. Despite my determination, no amount of searching offered a solution. As the darkness grew, so did my anxiety that I wouldn't find anything. I felt very alone. I put my hand to where I knew my pendant lay beneath my clothes.
This place is so quiet. I probably shouldn't be here without a weapon.
Iya, nggak bawa apa-apa ya dia.
Diambil ya?
Diambil. I was beginning to consider heading back to the main road.
One-chan?
One-chan? Ini si anak yang waktu itu ya? Ada?
Yappari! Anotoki no one-chan da!
Anotoki no one-chan da. A lively boy with a large hat ran towards me.
And you are?
覚えてない？ちょっと前、僕お姉ちゃんにぶつかっちゃって、ハンズの怖い人から助けてもらったよ。
Suaranya nggak ada.
Coy. Nanti.
Suara zoomnya.
Ada nggak sekarang?
思い出してくれた？
Ada? Kenapa sih?
Itu tadi kan dia ketawa.
Iya sih. He gave me a carefree smile. He seemed at ease, not at all like when he'd been near Sassen. Dozo?
I'm surprised you recognize me. Tangannya buntung
わ
kan
か
ya?
るよ。
Enggak.
命を助けてもらったんだもん。お礼はできなくても、恩人のことは絶対忘れたらダメだってお母さんに言われてるんだ。
いいお母さんだね。
I see. Your mother sounds like a great person.
The boy laughed happily. Then he gave me a questioning look.
こんなところでどうしたの？それにその格好、前と違うね。
Emang kita pakai baju apa?
Baju tentara, baju polisi.
Kan?
Alright.
Kenapa dia bilang beda?
You see, I'll be listening here now. Kayaknya pakai baju ini deh, tahanan.
Ya kali ya. I avoided
Lihat.
saying that I was considered a criminal now. I didn't want to say it. The boy made a noise of acceptance and didn't press for further information. I felt a little better.
どこに住んでるの？僕の家から近いかな。遊びに行っていい？
遊びに行っていい?
No. I don't have a place to live yet.
そっか。あ、そうだ。僕の家においでよ。
Yatta. Yasashi.
Hey, I see. Your house?
お姉ちゃん一人くらいなら泊めてあげられると思う。
Kamu teh warna rambutnya abu-abu kah?
Yeah,
Soalnya
I think we
alisnya
have enough
abu.
room for undervision.
Bagaimana? Mau jawab apa?
Are you sure that's okay?
Benar. Okay, are you sure that's okay?
Are you sure that's okay? What's your mother's going to say?
ちょっとお願いすれば大丈夫だよ。お姉ちゃんは僕の大事なお姉ちゃんだもん。
大事なお姉ちゃんだって。
大歓迎だよって言うはず。かけてもいいよ。
Seiyunya coy.
Shouldn't gamble, but I guess we can give it a try.
やったー。ほら行こう。案内してあげる。
Yatta, yasashi, kawaii. The boy smiled and began to walk away. Tuh enggak kok, nggak buntung tangannya.
Ih, kok gak buntung sih? Kemarin kan dibuntungin.
Cuma luka aja gitu. Emang lukanya tapi deep.
Oh, soalnya tulisannya
Iya
kayak
sih.
buntung. I didn't expect to be saved from my situation by a child, but
When I'd still been a police officer in the Heights, all of this would have been unthinkable. I looked up at the shadow that split the sky in half. At the end of it was the home that had exiled me. Comment. My thoughts overwhelmed by the horrific day behind me. I followed the boy's small silhouette.
到着。さあ、入って入って。
Hai teh.
ただいま、お母さん。
Feeling uncertain but optimistic, I followed the boy inside.
あら、遅かったわね。まあ、そちらのお方は？
Okasan, kenapa rambutnya begitu? Itu deadly hair mom. You will die. Halo Shiro. Irashai, selamat datang, selamat malam. Enjoy the stream. The woman, presumably the boy's mother, was far younger than I'd expected. She was taller than I was and had soft black hair tied into a side knot. It looked to me like she probably had a meek, yet gentle personality.
僕を助けてくれた人。
Iya, itu style rambut kematian gak sih, Shiro?
名前は。
Namae wa? The boy looked at me in surprise, then he smiled at his mother.
名前はわかんない。
Namae wa wakanai kai.
That's right.
It was only then that I realized we'd never introduced ourselves.
I'm
Dozo.
Hani.
Hani da yo.
Hani chan da yo.
Hani chan da yo. Kira. Kira.
Kira-kira.
I had a feeling that I wasn't supposed to give my last name to other residents either. The thought made me hesitate for a moment. In the end, I just repeated myself and gave a bow.
私はリエリス。この子は
リエリス
一人息子のメルローです。
Merlet.
Merlot. Merlot.
Hai hai.
Realit and Merlot.
メルローでいいよ。よろしくね、お姉ちゃん。
Yoroshiku. Merlet gave a broad smile, then walked over to a water jug. He used a ladle to scoop some up and wash his
お母
hands.
さん、お姉ちゃん住む場所ないんだって。止めてあげてもいいよね。住む場所が追い出されたってこと？
そうだよ、母さん。
No, not chase out. I arrived today.
Ini sejenis visual novel dating sim gitu loh, Shiro.
Hai, dating sim da yo.
Dating sim da yo, otome game da yo.
ああ、なるほど。訳ありさんなのね。
Lilith placed her head in her hand and smiled softly at me.
今から夕食だから手を洗ってそこに座って。
Yasashi ya, Kak-san. Kukira game AOTM. Iya sih, mirip sih. Suasananya.
Oh iya, oh iya, mirip Carla. Oh no, I couldn't bother you for dinner too.
Malam Prabu, kata Prabu, malam Mirai dan Hani. Malam juga, selamat
Halo,
datang di
Prabu
stream.
Cha.
Enjoy. Apa Prabu Cha? BTW Mirai sambil nyemil ya.
遠慮しないの。
Meal terus.
困った時はお互い様よ。
Nggak apa-apa, aku nyemil nggak gendut kok.
Ih, sama
Aku-
kok.
Aku tipe orang yang susah gemuk soalnya.
Sombong.
ここ
いや、
保地区は
sombong.
女が一人で生きていくには難しい場所
Mirai
よ。
sombong.
頼れる時は存分に頼りなさいな。
Thank you, but I have nothing I can give you in return.
Oke, selamat push rank Shiro. Terima kasih udah datang. Bye-bye.
Push rank, push rank.
Push rank apa BTW Genshin?
Genshin Impact. Bensin Impact.
Dozo?
Oh, hi. I haven't told you anything about myself except my name. Sharing your food and home with me. Isn't that reckless?
あら、だったら何もしなくていいの？お腹空いてない？
Harata. I'm
だったら
hungry.
問題ないわ。
I am
以前
hungry.
メルロを救ってくれたのでしょ。 あの子は私にとってかけがえのない宝物。
Suaminya
あなたには
mana?
感謝してもしきれないわ。
Where is your
そんな
husband?
相手を追い出すことなんてできないし、私、あなたはあまり悪い人じゃないってこと、なんとなくわかるの。
Do they?
ええ、仕事柄いろんな人を見てるからかしらね。あなたはしっかりした子のようだから気遅れするでしょうけど、ちゃんと自立するまでは面倒を見させてちょうだい。
Hai hai.
Mendo. Realis sa.
いけない。手を洗ってとお願いしたのに引き止めてしまったわね。
Lilith put her hand on my shoulder, encouragingly, and went to the stove. Hai. Katanya I have a good feeling about her. I look around the house as I wash my hands. There was only one door, no other rooms. I saw two small beds next to the wall, sleeping, eating, being together. It all happened in this room. Wah, kecil banget dong rumahnya. When my hands were washed, I sat down beside Marshmallow.
お姉ちゃんが来たから今日はごちそう。
今日は普通の料理よ。突然のことだもの。ごちそうは用意できないわ。
Marshmallow gave a slightly disappointed laugh.
ごめんなさいね。明日は頑張るから。
はい、どうぞ。
Please don't mind me. Please don't mind
She
me.
placed bean soup and some boiled potatoes on the table. Marmalade began to eat, and I took this to mean that this was all the food there was.
I'm
Hi.
just glad I get to eat.
Although
Jadi aku
I was
makan.
surprised at the simplicity, my stomach responded to it like a kingly face. Cuma apa tadi teh sayur kacang sama kentang. Ih, buat aku mah
Kacang.
itu udah enak. I picked up a wooden spoon and began to eat. Nani?
味、
Oh,
どうかしら。
it's very good.
おいしい。
そうお世辞でも嬉しいわ。
Oishiku nare. Oh, I mean it.
ほんと。
いいのよ。あなた、いいお家のお嬢さんでしょ。出自は名乗らなくても仕草でわかるものよ。それに、こんな食事、上では食べないものね。
I'm serious. No, it tastes great. It may be simple, but it's warm and makes my heart feel full.
I bow my head, thanking her. ありがとうございます。
Atau I never have a welcome family meal again.
I was truly happy and grateful.
I'm glad Merlot approached me.
I remember the time when I eaten together with my parents and thanked my little savior. The next time I glanced at the window, it was dark outside. Merlot was asleep, having gone to bed right after dinner.
Oh my god, lucu banget. Oh. Is Hani sleeping?
I'd never had a sister or brother. I'd never had the opportunity to see a sleeping child up close before. I watched him studying the details. Iya, punya adik
そ
sekarang
の
Hani
子
chan.
ご飯を食べたらすぐに眠っちゃうの。困ったものよ。
Kamatamono. Really loud and began to wash the dishes. I wiped around the table, replying that sleep was when children did their growing.
だといいのだけど。あの子、食が細いから心配だわ。
Aro. I was about to ask really a question but yawned before I could.
お疲れね。あなたも寝るといいわ。私はメルローと一緒に寝るから、そこのベッドを使いなさいな。
I wanted to protest, but constantly resisting all her kindness would have been impolite as well. I nodded.
Thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。
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 I curled under the blanket and closed my eyes. Relit's bed was different from my own, stiff and hard, but I was so exhausted that I was already drifting off. Dozo?
I'm glad I found a place to sleep.
Kalau aku kok kecepatan bacanya bilang ya.
Gak apa-apa.
Considering that I'd been ready to accept my shelter I could find, things had worked out extremely well. I wasn't able to repair it yet, but I resolved to find a way to do so in the future. Titik 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 titik. Ada
No,
berapa
no.
itu titiknya? Titik 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 titik
Berapakah
titik
titik di
titik. Nggak
sini?
aku hitung. Titik 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 titik. I heard a soft sound and woke up. Dosa?
Someone here?
Oh, malam juga ada Kira. Malam Mirai, malam Hani katanya selamat malam Kira, selamat
Halo,
datang.
Kira.
Dihitung titiknya.
Selamat
Aku
malam.
gabut. I skinned the truck half closed eyes and saw that
Kira.
Merlot was still sleeping. His mother was no longer next to him, however.
Really, it must have left. Have, have,
Double.
have. Have left. Ah, gimana bacanya?
Kayaknya tipe.
I wonder what she needs to do so late at night.
Curious, I stood up and went outside.
あら、
Ara,
Really?
really?
Merlot was standing outside the door.
眠れないの？あ、もしかして起こしてしまったのかしら。
No, I just woke up. What are you doing here?
ユネ様に祈りを捧げているのよ。
Hmm? Merlot
Ah,
was looking up at the sky. It was dark and opaque, but its texture only interrupted by the even darkness shape of the pillar supporting the heights.
聖人ユネ様は下界へ落とされたものをいつか救ってくださる。なんてね。稀にこうして都合のいいことを祈ってるのよ。
なるほど。
I see. Naruhodo. Naruhodo. Thrown into the death? You came here from the height too?
ええ、こう見えて結構罪深いのよ。
Nani? Apa
Eh?
dosamu, Rilit? Rilit gave a raised smile, leaning against the wall of her home.
私ね、恋をしてしまったの。
はい。
Ah,
恋ですか？
love.
そう。新会員に決められた相手とは違う人と恋をして、それが知られてしまって、
Oh iya ya, kan ditentuin ya
Kali tuh
si
isyoni.
ininya jodohnya.
ここへ送られたの。二人でなら支え合って生きていけるってあの人は言ったのに、いつの間にか消えてしまって一人ぼっち。
Ditinggal.
バカみたいでしょ私。彼を好きにならなければ今頃ここにはいなかったのに。ほんとバカよね。定められた相手だったらいなくなることも罰せられることもなかったのに、なんで感情に流されてしまったのかしら。とは思うものの、恋心なんて抑えられないわよね。
Maybe?
Rilit looked at me in surprise.
ここへ来る女の子は大抵恋愛の罪を背負ってくるものよ。あなたは違うの？
I...
言いづらいのなら言わなくていいわ。どうせここでは上で犯した罪の重さは同じ。更生すれば戻れるなんて言う人もいるけど、きっと無理。教会へ戻った罪人の話なんて聞いたことないもの。でも諦めが悪いから無理だと分かっていても願ってしまう。
She smiled again and looked at the sky.
You can, huh? It is hard to travel back.
Ntar aku keselak.
難しいも何も方法がないじゃない。
Ciki.
あちらでは不要だからここへ送られたのよ。きっと無理に違いないわ。
なるほど、なるほど。
なるほど。
I wanted to return no matter what, but
If there was no way back, did I have to give up?
明日も無事に過ごせますように。そんなお願いならユネ様は叶えてくださるかしら。
yes, I'm sure he will.
I follow her example and pray to the sky.
You grasp the vision to realize prayers. I will fight for myself. I will be true to myself no matter what happens.
おーい、お姉
ちゃん。
お姉ちゃん、朝だよ。
朝だよ。起きて。Oh, akhirnya dibuka topinya.
Ah,
I opened my eyes and saw Merle looking down at me.
おはよう、お姉ちゃん。
おはよう。
Ohio.
おはよう。
Ohio.
Aduh, jebelin banget. It was my first morning in the depths and surprisingly pleasant. I looked around the room.
Did I sleep too long? What time is it?
わからない。うちには時計がないんだ。角の家の人が持ってるから
Gak punya
見に行って
aja.
こようか。
Nanya ke tetangga.
Ah, karunya.
Toge naik kah? Knowing the hour might be normal in the
Huh?
haze, but not here. I knew that wouldn't be the last time I'd assume something seemingly trivial. Before Marlet could run out the door, I stopped him. Oh, hai Lala. Ada Lala. Shota, katanya ngeliat Marlet, astaga. No,
Dia mah
Lala,
kelainan
no.
gak ada sota, kelainan dia mah.
No, Lala, no.
Pedofil.
Stay away. Dozo.
Where's Lily?
お仕事に出かけた。
仕事。仕事?
Shigoto?
Katanya Lala gini, Shota tuh salah satu keajaiban alam.
うん。酒場でね、お酒とか料理とか運ぶ仕事だって。
Di bar. She's
Ah,
right.
she's a waitress. Wonder what kind of job that
Lala nge-fanboy, Set.
in the
Hani-chan,
center
dosyo.
display. Hah?
Lala nge-fanboy.
Gini sih itu salah satu yang serem. Pedofil.
Pedofil. I straightened my clothes and smoothed my hair, then stood up. Marlet gestured for me to sit at the table.
これ、お姉ちゃんの分の朝ごはん。
Asagahan. He put a small plate of bread and jerky on the table. Arigato.
Arigato.
My stomach woke up quickly at the prospect of food, and I sat down.
あとこれ、大事なお薬。
Kusuri? Nande?
Medicine?
うん。保護地区に住んでる人はこれを飲まないと気分が悪くなっちゃうんだって。
Salah.
だから僕もお母さんも飲んでる。お姉ちゃんも飲む。
Wakatta.
Okay, got it.
I found the whole idea quite strange, but swallowed the pill with some water.
I can't taste anything, but for all I know, that's normal.
Apakah itu drug?
Covid,
Dikasih
kayaknya
vaksin.
Covid.
Hai.
You are not eating, Merlot.
僕はお母さんと食べたから。
Oh, udah makan.
それを食べたらお出かけしようね。お姉ちゃんを案内するんだ。
Hai.
Take me on a tour?
Merlot ngeliat Andrews teriak-teriak.
お姉ちゃんは保護地区に詳しくないから教えてあげなさいってお母さんに言われたんだ。
Merlot picked up his hat and jammed it firmly on his head.
お出かけの準備完了。お姉ちゃん早く。
Bersemangat sekali Merlot.
Okay. You are so energetic, little boy.
Little boy. Oh, selamat main, katanya kawannya. Oke.
Hai, arigato, Kao-chan.
I got my little guide. I wolfed down and the rest of my food. Tur.
それでね、今の道をまっすぐに進むと大通りに出るんだ。
So that's where this leads?
I turned to look in each direction along the route.
やあ、坊主。元気か？
元気か？
可愛い子を連れてるじゃない。
いいでしょう。
いいでしょって何? People walking past called greeting to Merlot.
Are you some kind of celebrity here?
Ya, Merlot populer sekali.
著名人？何のことかわからないけど、僕は僕だよ。ここに住んでる人たちは仲間だから。仲良くできる人は仲良くしてるんだ。
Imut sekali.
Ah, naruhodo. Hai.
You had to get along with people in order to survive. That was even more true in the depths.
I hope I can get along with them too.
できるよ。お姉ちゃん美人さんだもん。
Bijin sang. Arah, Hani-chan itu bukan bijin. Kawaii.
Hah?
Kawaii.
Eh?
Bijin sang?
Ah, beauty?
そうだよ。すごく可愛いと思う。
Sugaku kawaiiって. Hani-chan kawaii.
Didn't anybody tell you you are not supposed to talk to adult like that?
だって本当のことなんだもん。
Then Murad ran off with a broad grin. I followed him across the road.
When I was still a police officer, I was sure I couldn't live here, but
I'd hardly seen anybody on that visit or any sign of life. The whole place had felt like an empty facade.
looking at it now, I see that the people here lead pretty normally.
I was going to join their numbers. It wasn't that I no longer had doubts. I was still uncertain about how well I'd fit in. But my night with Merlot and Rilith had changed a lot for me. It had shown me that there was light even in the deepest darkness.
Can adjust to any environment.
Positif sekali ya Hani-chan. Nani?
Yes, I am.
The mood on the street suddenly shifted.
Did something happen?
Nani? Old habit made me reach for the sword I no longer carried. Reflect. Heart sinking at the light, I look around.
I can't see any of the hounds or anyone acting aggressively.
So what's Apa kenapa Hani? Dare!
Dare,
A man walked past where I stood.
bajunya beda.
That was all he did, and yet I couldn't help but stare.
Huh?
He looked completely out of place in the slum, well dressed from his coat to his boots. His demeanor was full of elegance and confidence. His movements had all the grace of a gentleman at a ball. Nothing about him messed with the environment around him.
Who's done here? Is her a criminal? Doesn't look like anyone at all.
I watched him wondering at his identity. Our eyes met. No. I looked away immediately, but he had noticed me and approached with light, effortless step. Oh no. Chikai te.
こんにちは、お嬢さん。俺に見とれるとは、なかなかお目が高いようで。好きなだけご覧ください。遠くから見てる分には、
Narsis dong.
ただですからね。
Iya, gimana? The man smiled softly and resumed his stride. He didn't turn again before he disappeared into the distance. Nani? Sakito.
Feel free to look at. What?
Who the heck?
Hell?
When the man heard that chatter around me. Lu siapa? Narsis banget. Judging by the direction, the other residents saw him as just as much of an irregularity as I did.
うわー、びっくりした。お姉ちゃん大丈夫だった？
Oh, kawaii.
Yeah, I'm fine. He was just talking to me.
And talking hog was at that, I added mentally.
His clothing and behavior were completely different from everyone else here. Who is he?
向こうの人。
Muko? Outside.
Outside?
Merlot nodded, pointing out to the wall at the border of the sanctuary district.
あの壁の向こうに住んでる人だって。
Eh?
Mereka dari wall sebelah.
It's from outside the wall. Wall?
そう。下界っていう場所。
Isn't the sanctuary district a part of the death?
ここは保護地区で、下界とは言わないよ。お母さんもみんなも保護地区っていうもん。
なるほどね。
I thought the death referred to everything down here.
I wondered what the world outside those walls looked like. Was it just more of the same, or... Merlot grabbed my sleeve and pulled me onward before I could think about it more.
気をつけてよね。さっきの人、すごく危険なんだよ。
危険なんで
Dangerous?
すごく悪い人だってみんな言ってるんだ。
Hulu?
人さらいっていうのをする悪党なんだって。
あら
A villain abducting people?
そうだよ。なのにハウンズったら全然やっつけないんだ。変なの。
How curious?
Nande?
Kepo, soalnya dia siapa?
Oke deh, bener nih.
Iya, kenapa emang?
Habis sih mau mempertimbangkan yang lain. udah keklik. Up ratingnya dia. Lihat ya tadi yang di sini.
Apa tadi?
Ada si orang yang tadi ratingnya naik gitu. Kayaknya
Waduh.
kayak si affectionnya naik gitu karena kamu dicuri.
Lah baru datang dia.
Berarti tadi jawaban yang merujuk buat rutenya dia gitu.
Waduh. Ya, Be.
Aduh.
Jangan kepo berarti ya.
That's all.
Abduction, how curious.
If he truly abducted people, he must have had a use for them. What use will people from the sanctuary district have to him? Labor? Slaves?
I'd like to find out more about this.
He looked like a man in a position of power.
One way or another, I should be careful. Thanks for the warning, Merlot.
どういたしまして。
Daidashimashite. Lah di sini dia itu ada Orchis datang, Hanicha. Orchis.
Hey, Merlot, did you ever go into that?
ないよ。ハンズの建物に行って通らせてってお願いしなくちゃダメなんだって。僕なんかのお願い絶対聞いてくれないもん。それに僕行きたいって思わないし怖い。
It's a bad place.
わかんない。でもみんな言ってるよ。あそこは保護地区よりもずっと危険で下界出身の汚い人たちが住む怖い場所だって。
あら。
上界の人間の血を引く誇りある僕たちが行っちゃダメなとこなんだってさ。
I see. なるほどね。
うん。誇りが何かわかんないけど、とにかく僕たちは特別なんだ。だから特別じゃない人たちが住む場所は行っちゃダメなの。わかった？
He didn't have a grasp on the concept he was party. Kawaii. That was clear. He raised one index finger as he spoke, mimicking whatever teacher had originally explained all this to him. A bad place where dirty people live. We're special, we have our pride.
It's the same thinking I had when I was living in haze.
That had been my view of the sanctuary district and everything else in the depths. Just like Merlot and the others now drew a line between themselves and the outside.
I see. That's where it starts, I suppose.
Mangga, Rere. Kata Rere, punten bro, mangga. Selamat datang. Bagaimana punten teh teh ngiring ngalangkung hungkul atau
Monggo.
badai ngopi heula?
Punten.
Punten. Tuh.
Okay, got it.
A long time ago, there had been a flood. The chosen one had evacuated to the heaths where I had come from.
Okay,
The people born in the depth were the descendants of those who had survived the delete, fundamentally incompatible with us. That's all.
I suppose even exiles they are, they still retain some pride of being from the hate originally.
It surprised me to learn that there was a social hierarchy in the depths, but the similarity to system from home made it strangely attractive. Kumaha? Malah tertarik.
Tadaima!
Tadaima, okaeri.
Okay,
Merlot's guided tour was non-stop all day, and we returned to his home shortly before nightfall.
It's not my own home, but I'm still relieved.
I closed the door and looked around.
Is it not home yet?
今日はずっとお仕事の日だよ。
I see. That's on road. went out in the morning, either the place is doing really well or they don't have enough people.
Marlot was bustling around the room. He dragged a chair over to the cupboard, trying to reach something higher up. Hi.
I'll get it for you. What do you need?
Marlot pointed a small bottle. I stood on tiptoe to reach it.
ありがとう、お姉ちゃん。
Kawaii. He put the bottle on the table and headed for the stove.
Oh, you are making food. I'll help.
いいよ、大丈夫。慣れてるもん。
でも、
いいから、
でも、
ほら、座ってて。
Okay.
He wasn't bragging. Marlot really knew what he was doing as he deftly prepared our food. In the end, it was just bread, pickled fruit, and water, but combined together it made a proper meal. Dozo.
I always left everything to servants. It would have taken me an age to get this done.
All I could do was say thank you before we settled into it.
I suppose I'm here with him, and he's not on his own, but Merlot, do you often have to eat alone?
うん。お母さんがお仕事の時はいつも一人だよ。
Hola. He didn't seem visibly sad or upset at that. It must have been normal for him.
I see, that's incredible.
すごいってどういうこと？
Incredible? Why?
Hi.
Before I was alone down here, I always ate with my parents. I just think it's incredible that you can do this even though you are so young.
そうかな。よくわかんないけど、褒めてもらえたのは嬉しいかも。
Lucu sekali. Marlon smiled happily.
Really said yesterday that his father disappeared.
I wanted to ask him about his father, but it seemed a cruel question.
What else would I ask? Does really always smoke until late?
いつもじゃないけど、大抵はそうだよ。特に夜が忙しいんだって。
Marlon bit the corner of his stiff slice of bread and mumbled that that was when people drank.
どこで働いてるかは知らない。お酒は大人になってから飲むものだから、僕は言っちゃダメなんだって。だから僕はいつもここでお留守番するんだ。
I see, that's impressive.
Hola, selamat malam Haidar. Selamat datang di streamnya. Enjoy. Selamat malam, selamat datang. Konbanwa, irashai.
Selamat malam.
Welcome. Dozo. Dosta. Dosta no.
Eating alone, I don't think I could have done it as a child. The thought of being alone never even occurred to me.
It seemed likely that Merlot had been living like this since he was born. Pitying him for it would have been insulting in its own way. Genki desu ka? Ditanya Haidar. Genki da yo. Hani-chan wa? Genki desu ka?
Genki desu!
Genki desu! だって Kohe kataka.
He had truly blessed childhood through that.
I thank my parents for everything and listen to more that Marlot had to say as we eat. Yokata, Haidar sendiri bagaimana, genki desu ka?
Genki desu ka?
After dinner, Marlot fell asleep almost immediately as I expected he would. But I tossed and turned, unable to do the same myself.
I managed it a lot after last night.
Oh, Yokata, Haidar juga very genki katanya. Kata nih
Very
Yokata.
genki.
Very genki, suga ke genki da ne.
Very genki banget.
I wondered if I'd slept in too late. Maybe I was having more trouble physically adjusting that I'd realized.
Fresh air might help.
I crept out of bed as quietly as I could so that I wouldn't wake Merlot.
I don't want to walk around unarmed. Isn't there anything just in case?
I looked around. I was unsurprised but disappointed to see that there was nothing remotely like a sword.
The kitchen knife, maybe that's a little dangerous.
Bawalah penggorengan.
Kayak PUBG.
Kalau ke di Tangled juga kan yang Rapunzel juga penggorengan adalah senjata paling ampuh gitu.
Iya, pentong.
My eyes fell on a sturdy stick near the door. No, bawa penggorengan. I picked it up. It was almost as long as my arm and well polished. Dozo.
This should come in handy if I need it.
I held it loosely in my left hand, ready to grab and brandish it with my right if needed. Then I set off from the house.
Huh?
I breathed in the night air. Unused to it, I noticed the damp and slightly rotten smell as I drew it into my lungs.
I'll get used to it.
I had to get used to it. I didn't want it to bother me forever. Whether I was going to go back to the heat or not, for a time I would be living in the depths. I walked quietly. I was being especially careful because I'd been told how dangerous it was, so I was trying to remain in the shadows and move slowly. The road was narrow and difficult. It was easy to get lost among the side paths, but Marlot had done a good job showing me around. I had a right idea where I was. Hi, hi.
This main road is over there, and the market is.
もうダメですよ。
Huh?
I knew that voice. Suaranya Rilit? I strained my ears. It was without a doubt Rilit's voice. I moved toward the voices from shadow to shadow.
これ以上はいけません。話してください。
んだよ、愛想悪いな。いいだろ、ちょっとぐらい。
いえ、私は家に戻らないと。
うるせえ。俺の言うことが聞けないってのか。
Rilit! Alasia Kumaha, the man had pulled her close to himself. Dozo.
I have to help her.
I snuck up on them.
可愛がってやってるってのに、なんだその態度。痛い目に遭わなければ。
I placed myself between Rilit and the man and raised my stick at him.
てめえ、何しやがる。
Dozo? I shall be asking you tonight, you low life.
あの
Don't worry, leave this to me. Oh. The man was carrying a sword, but he was obviously dead drunk. I was confident that if it came down to it, I would easily win. Dodo. Very matroness. Next time I will hit you properly. If you don't want to get hurt, then leave.
今日ザメだ。もういい。あばよ。
The man glared at me and reeled before he disappeared into the darkness. When the sting of liquor finally wafted to me, I almost threw up. Hai hai. Kenapa kehanitsan? Apa lep-lepan bahasa Sunda nama? Ah, baru.
Hurt and live.
Dulu. What an unpleasant round. Halo. Suaranya
Dece.
kecil banget.
Dece.
Oh, Dece. Kawaii.
What an unpleasant drunk. At least he left without putting up a fight.
I turned around towards Lilith.
え
Are you okay?
まあ
She doesn't seem all that pleased. Is something wrong? Are you hurt?
いえ、そうではないの。助けてくれたことは嬉しいんだけど、さっきの人、私の乗客なのよ。
はい。
Customer?
そう、私の働いてるお店での金払いのいいお客さん。私の仕事は若くて美人な子ほど受けが良くて、こんなおばさんを相手にしてくれる人多くないから。
Just you're not a waitress?
ウェイトレスあの子から聞いたのね。ええ、私はウェイトレスなんかじゃないわ。
Tuh kan sudah kudagu.
自分の体が商売道具なの。
Oh, asal.
Kalau aku shock.
Yourself?
そう、結婚相手でも恋人でもない人の相手をするの。お金のためにね。
But so the man just now?
そう、彼にはごひいきにしてもらってるわ。乱暴だけどちゃんとお金はくれる。とてもいい人よ。
いい人だって。I didn't regret stopping the man from hurting her, but it may well have given her more trouble in the long run.
What if this means she won't have as much money now? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have.
Perhaps it would have been better to ignore it.
私のことを思って助けてくれたんでしょ。その気持ちは嬉しいわ。
She must have known what I was thinking. Her voice was soft and comforting.
でも次からはやめてちょうだいね。あと仕事のことはメルローには内緒で。
Because you are not waitress?
そうよ。こんな汚い仕事、正直に話す気はないし。あの子が察するにしても、もう少し大きくなってから。望んでこうなったわけじゃないんだけどね。
Harriet gave a sad smile, kicking out a small stone on the ground.
実はね、メルローの父親は誰かわからないの。
Sepertinya anak pungut. Huh? It wasn't the man you were exiled with?
ええ。あの人はこっちへ来てすぐに消えてしまったから。
Voila.
この保護地区で女ができることは本当に限られてて、私は自分自身を商売道具にする以外の仕事を見つけることができなかった。そんな中、あの子が生まれたの。父親がわからないなんてかわいそうだけど、たった一人で生きてきた私にとってはかけがえのない我が子。
Really?
ここ保護地区は女だけで生きていくには厳しいわ。朝から晩まで働いてもお菓子一つ満足に買ってあげられない。それでも生きたいならそうするしかない。手も足も使えるものを全て使ってあがくしかない。それがあなたが生きていく世界なの。これが保護地区なのよ。
Lilith ran her hand over my head, then she began to walk home.
戻りましょう。明日も早いんだから早く。
Lilith walked a few steps in front of me. She seemed taller and nobler to me after I had heard her story.
She does whatever she must to support what important to her.
I felt like I couldn't forgive myself for giving her more to worry about. I wanted to look after myself. Tujuh?
Wanting it isn't enough to make it happen.
Hai. Masih. I have to think about what I can do to live here, katanya. I touched the pendant at my neck and followed Lilith. Morning arrived. After breakfast was done, I decided it was time to go looking for work.
They told me that it's hard to find a job as a woman.
Nevertheless, I had to search until I found one. I didn't want to sell myself. I remembered her words from the night before. I have to use what I have and eke out a living.
What do I have? I'm good with a sword.
Maybe there was a job that required me to use a sword. As I made preparation to leave, I heard small footsteps approaching.
お姉ちゃん、どこ行くの？僕もついてってもいい？
どうぞ。
You want to come? I'm not going out there to have fun.
I saw his wide eyes curiosity and found it hard to say no. Lilith patted Merlot on the head.
彼女は用事があるそうよ。今日は私と一緒に過ごしましょうね。
Merlot looked between me and her and
わ
smiled.
かった。いってらっしゃい、お姉ちゃん。
いってらっしゃい。行ってきます。
Yep, see you later.
I'm glad Lilith did that. Jenna, thinking about how I wanted to become as considerate as she was, I looked up at the sky. It was as gray as always, hiding my old home from view with ancient clouds.
One day, I'll go back.
Standing and staring wasn't going to get me there. I had to look forward, not up. The past couldn't help me. I had to live if I wanted a future. Mirai.
悪いね。今手は足りてるんだ。予想当たってくれ。
Hey, new scene. Eh,
ありがとうって。どうぞ。
I see. Arigato.
はい。 How many did I try? Two. I'd gone to the market searching for work but hadn't found anything so far. I'm glad
when they just hear me out.
I'd lost count of how many rejection I had, and that wasn't even counting the ones who shooed me off immediately.
I didn't have to do this in the haze.
The two areas were radically different. I knew that comparing them all the time was counterproductive, but my mind kept doing on it. If you wanted to be a police officer or any other kind of public job, you had to go to the temple first. The temple posted application deadlines and examination dates, and if you passed those and the interview went well, you had a job. Not everyone who wanted a job ended up with it, of course, but if you aim with your limits, you rarely failed. I'd never heard of anyone being unable to find a job whatsoever. It was an alien idea to me.
You didn't study the adult work. That's what I was taught.
I was reminded once more of the blessing my upbringing had been. Gak nemu kerjaan.
I'm hungry.
Gak kebaca yang tadi. I didn't feel particularly excited, but the emptiness in my stomach was starting to hurt. Hunger and thirst were a problem. They made me slower mentally and physically as well.
I want to head back, but it feels too futile to do so without results.
My options were narrowing. I'd scored the entire area.
I suppose I just have to look further afield.
Those stuff?
Hmm?
In the distance, I could see a queue of people line up. Those stuff.
What are they doing?
I was still on my quest for a job, but my curiosity got the better of me. There's always should take a look.
I should take a look.
Apa-apa, ada apa lagi pembagian sembako kah? Korewa?
Korewa?
A long line had formed in front of a house building. It wasn't a large headquarters I had visited as police officer, but a smaller outpost. The people had formed an orderly queue in front of it.
I wonder what they're waiting for.
I approached and looked past the throng of people.
Are those rations?
One by one, the people received goods. I saw canned food, bread, and kind of thing. Tuh kan sembako.
Benar semua.
Bagi-bagi
Rations.
semuanya.
I see. They are not just watching them. I wonder if I have the right to ration too.
There were people of all ages and genders in the queue. Their clothes were shabby. I strongly suspected they were residents of the sanctuary district.
Good up us.
ほら、列を乱すなよ、薄のろ。
One of the hounds dragged a man out of the queue. He'd done absolutely nothing.
何を
命令だ。てめえは後ろに並べ。
ですけど、私は何も朝から並んでいたというのに。
Sembako. Dah kan bener dibagi makanan kayak sembako.
んなこと知るかよ。ほら、配給が欲しけりゃさっさと並べ。
The man stumbled to the end of the line. The other gave him looks of pity, but none of them attempted to help him. They were afraid the same fate would befall them.
That's horrible.
Horrible. I couldn't bear to see the behavior of the hounds or the misery of their subjects.
Even if I'll suffer, I don't want the horns to carry me though those days.
I decided to leave carried by the pride I couldn't shake. Nggak ikutan ngantri. I was beginning to feel dizzy. I chalked it up to my painfully empty stomach.
I ate well this morning. Why am I already in such bad shape?
Scolding myself was pointless tug. I wanted something, anything, in my mouth. Even through the cloudy sky, the sun seemed excessively bright. The voices around me were painfully loud.
This is bad. I'm getting confused.
I went into a side street, hoping to catch my breath. Ayolah, pulang, pulang, pulang. The sting was revolting, but it was much quieter than it was on the main street. I leaned against a wall and breathed deeply.
I wish I could find some food.
One should not eat food lying around, but even that was beginning to sound attractive. If there had been food on the ground in front of me, then I would have been tempted to eat it.
I'd rather not do that.
Water. Water. The
Water. Water.
I strained my ears. It was fine, but I could hear the sound of flowing water. As soon as I realized that, my thirst took immediate control of me.
Something to drink will be fine for the time being.
I just needed one gulp, something to drink, anything in my mouth, anything in my stomach. My urge to drink grew irresistibly. Scariste.
There it is.
The stream followed the walls of the buildings. It was too shallow to even scoop by hand. I had to bring it to my mouth some other way. The water was visibly murky. I hesitated to touch it. But the times were too desperate to be picky. I had to do something. I have to check. Oh yes, this is it.
I have to tell myself if I want to survive.
I settled myself and went down on my knees. Alasia ni karunya. My mind rejected my body's desire for this water. I didn't want to touch it, much less drink it.
No, I have to drink it.
Wasn't I starving? Didn't I want to fill my empty stomach?
Don't worry, nobody's watching. You just have to take one gulp and that's it.
Pasti ada yang datang. I slowly leaned forward and brought my mouth closer to the dirty stream.
そんなの飲んだら腹壊すよ。
誰?
Heh?
Oh.
Dari-
Gaya rambutnya sama tuh. Cuma kebalik.
Oh iya Mi. Kenapa ya pada gitu rambutnya?
I looked up and saw a boyish looking man standing right in front of me. Salah. It startled me so much that I fell backward, sitting down hard.
何暴れてるんだか。
He saw me and stood up.
バカじゃないの。
Alas,
あんなの飲めば確実に腹を壊すよ。
he retrieved a small water skin from his bag
Emang
and
tadi
offered
minum
it.
apa sih?
Kayak air kotor yang apa tuh kayaknya dari genteng gitu, nggak tahu. You know lah, itulah.
Is that?
It had been made from the stomach of some animal I couldn't identify. The skin was small enough to fit comfortably into someone's hand, and the opening was closed tight.
水飲みたいんだろ。やるよ。
Yasashi.
Oh, yours?
Ayo.
Thank you lah.
Benar. Thank you nih. Thank you ya. Ting. Up.
Alright.
Up to.
Aku mah baik. Terima aja lah.
Bentar, aku belum save ya. Takut
Aku baru tahu ada yang up gitu 2 kali. Aku baru lihat.
sama. Arigato dan
Seperti sudah mulai ya. Dating sim.
Iya. I took the water skin from him and his eyebrow twitched ever so slightly.
へえ驚いた
Ya,
あんたって意外と素直なんだな
Ha? Sorry.
Hagenat.
そうもっとごねたり疑ったりするのかと思ったから
Perhaps I would if I weren't in mortal danger.
Mortal danger. The water skin was heavy. It was only after I opened the lid that another thought occurred to me.
Why are you helping me?
僕はウルリクその水袋は先行投資以上だよ
Ulrich Ferry.
Investment?
そうあんたは僕のことを知らないけど僕はあんたのことを結構知ってる
どういうこと? Ulrich gave me a cunning smile, his voice taking on a sing-song timbre.
上海出身元下級警察官であり保護地区への視察経験あり合ってるよね
Oh ya?
Oh, aku tahu. What do you know that?
どうしてだろうね視察に来た時ハウンズとなんか揉めてただろ剣を振り回してさ
見てんの?
Intel dong.
Kamu melihat
剣で
aku?
戦うなんて上海出身のやつって本当に遅れてる時代錯誤もいいとこだほんとバカみたい
Malaysia disebut baka.
今の時代主流は銃だよ撃ち方さえ覚えれば女子供だって簡単に扱える
Minum dulu Hani. Ih, kenapa sih?
Who is this guy? Iya nggak bisa mau nginum
Nah.
ngomong mulu.
I drank his water as I listened. I couldn't ignore his
Akhirnya.
jab start. Tug.
Apologize for being behind the times.
はあ悪いとは言ってないだろ変な解釈すんなって
なんで怒ったの?
とにかくあんたに興味を持ってる依頼主がいてねぜひ雇いたいとのことだ
What?
職を探してるんだろいい話だとは思わないか
なんで? My
My
answer
answer
is
no.
why?
はあどうしてだよてかもっとちゃんと話を聞けって
No way, this is super suspicious. Besides, how do you know that I'm looking for work?
Tadi
Serem.
katanya mau kerjaan apa aja yang penting gak jual diri, tapi dikasih kerjaan nolak. Hani.
Oh,
It happened in an instant. I looked away from the briefest moment and Ulrich vanished.
what just happened?
I looked around me, even up at the rooftop. He was completely gone. I couldn't even hear footsteps.
Did I dream that?
Had I fallen asleep in broad daylight? Feeling nervous, I looked down. I was still holding the rather heavy water skin.
It must have happened if I still have this.
That led me back to my original question. Where had he disappeared to? It was as if the earth had swallowed him.
Ulrich, huh? What a strange guy.
I was just grateful that my thirst had been quenched. I was irritated by Ulrich's sudden exit tug. I tied the water skin to my hip, unable to thank its owner for the loan.
has gotten dark.
I tried for a while longer to find work, but without any success. When I set out, I'd been willing to do anything I was able to do, but nobody I approached seemed to need anyone. I know that.
I'm losing faith.
I know that feeling so disheartened when it was only the end of my first day was silly, but every rejection hurt.
I'm tired, but I need to keep going.
I decided to try no, 3 more people. I pushed my negativity away for the time being. Ara, nani. Oh, what was that?
Huh? What was that?
I turned and saw a woman covering on the ground. A man was fleeing the scene at top speed.
First nature?
My police officer instinct awake and I ran after him immediately. Weaving through the crowd, I kept all my focus on my query. He didn't try to veer off the main roads as I chased him, which meant fewer obstacles for us to avoid.
Is he hoping to simplify what faced me?
I was confident I could track him. He wasn't getting away. Slowly but steadily, I rode fast enough to strike. From a low crouch, I launched myself at him.
Ha!
Just when he turned around, I slammed into his back. We rolled over the ground.
Whoa! Good. Now I have to pin him.
Before the man could stand up again, I put my knee on his back.
Go away.
I took the pouch he had stolen from his hand.
Anything else you stole? Alright.
I led the man over to the woman.
なんだよ、ちゃんと返しただろ
I can't tell if that's everything you took. Over there.
はいこれで間違いありません取り返してくださりありがとうございます
ほら、だから言っただろうが
Oh, Aro, Mikan. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Good evening.
Hello, Mika. Mika.
Tozo?
Thief, don't get talked back.
I untied his hand and he glared at me.
くそ覚えてろよ
I'd heard that a lot as a police officer and ignored him.
Good grief. You're okay, right? Are you hurt?
はい本当にありがとうございます
The woman gripped her pouch with both hands. Hi. It must be important to not to you.
はい亡くなった子供の形見でああいけないお礼をしなければ
It's fine. I was faithful. We sorted. Oops. I'm no longer a police officer. I stopped myself. The woman pressed some coins into my hand. え、これ何ですか？
貨幣ですほんの気持ちですけど受け取ってください
Saying her goodbyes, the women left. The excitement had worn off for the crowds around me as well. Odd. This is the money they use in the depths, huh? I looked at the coins in my palm. They were made of a metal I couldn't immediately identify. The face of a woman in profile was engraved on one side and numbers of the others. What surprised me most was that money was used in the best at all. Perhaps it was obvious, but I'd been brought up thinking that debts were too barbaric and simple for a currency-based economy, so it was something of a shock. I have no idea how much this worth though. I decided to give the coins to Relit. With any luck, they were enough to help with daily necessities. I didn't find a job, but I earned some money. It's a better start than it could have been. Alright, time to go back.
Time to back.
Night had fallen by the time I made it back to the street they live on. That's all?
I hope Merlot and Relit aren't worth it.
I remembered my small windfall of money and smiled, knowing it would cheer them up too. I didn't know how much the coins were worth, but even if it wasn't much, it will probably still be a bit of help.
Haha, I hope they'll accept them.
Tadaima. Tadaima.
I'm back. Relit, Merlot.
I opened the door with enthusiasm.
よう、遅かったじゃないか。
Nani? Itu astaga.
Oh my god.
Apa sih?
Hounds.
There were 3 hounds in the room. No, 2 more behind.
No, 2 more behind me. I'm surrounded.
I look around.
Where are they?
安心しろ。そいつらは安全だ。今のところはな。殺されたくなければ下手に動かないことだ。
One of the men behind me gave me a hard push. What do you want?
忘れたとは言わせねえ。昨日の夜、よくも怪我をさせてくれたな。
Oh. Huh? Last night? What? That was you who attacked Relit?
口の利き方には気をつけろ。
Unbelievable. How could someone attached to the temple attack the people?
アミ笑わせるな。保護地区の奴らは俺たちとは違う。犯罪者、人間以下のクズだ。どう扱おうが俺たちの自由だ。あいつらも、お前もな。
Dipukul dong. You're the one who ought to be punished. How dare you lay a hand on the weak, you pitiful man.
てめえ。
おいおい、そこまでにしろ。今そいつを歩けなくされるのはごめんだ。持って帰るのが面倒だからな。
面倒。
わかったよ。
どうぞ。
Carry me?
ハウンズへ暴行を働いた罪をその体で償ってもらう。抵抗は無駄だ。おとなしくついてこい。
Huh? Like I'd ever go with you willingly?
来ないと女とガキがどうなっても知らないぞ。
ダメ。
Alright, but swear to me you won't harm them.
ああ、いいとも。今は手を出さないでおいてやるよ。ほら、行くぞ。
Tidak, aku diculik. Tidak.
たく、女一人捕まえるためになんでこんな人数が必要なんだ？
仕方ないだろう。そいつは凶暴だ。お前、身に染みて分かってるだろ。
そうだけどよ。ほんと手を焼かされるぜ。でもよ、見た目は悪くないんだよな。何より若い。酒場の豊島連中よりずっと楽しめそうだ。なあ、俺の女になるってのはどうだ？今までのことは全部水に流してやる。
You woman? I'm guy.
I'm guy. I'm a man gitu ya.
I'm a man.
Aduh, ketegangannya langsung hilang karena itu. Even if I wasn't exactly sure what he was offering, I knew I didn't want to be anyone's position.
I refuse. Because I'm a man.
I didn't understand his proposition, but I knew he was the one who'd reel it.
Only a dim-witted coward would strike a mother.
なんだと
Enraged, he gave me a hard shove. It wasn't a particularly strong jolt, but my stomach was empty and so I stumbled.
金か。いいものを持ってるじゃないか。
ダメ金
Give it back.
断る。俺が拾ったんだから。これは俺のものだ。せいぜい有効活用してやろう。
リーダーには生きたまま連れてこいと言われたが、傷をつけるなとは言われてない。昨日邪魔された分、楽しませてもらうぜ。
What? Wah, ketemu Sashen nih.
Siapa?
Ketemu Sashen.
I tried to stand up, but a different man held me down by my feet. No matter how I struggled, I couldn't free myself. Then the shadow of the man fell over
そ
me.
の反応、生娘か。上等だ。
Aku gak mau ketemu Sashen.
そこまでだ。
Oh,誰?
誰だ邪魔
イネス・ハインリヒ・
Oh,
ハイン。
Ines ketemunya bukan
お前
Sashen.
の上官だ。
副リーダーそれはその
Frida.
言い訳は後で聞く。まず彼女から離れろ。拘束を解
Ines.
け。ですが、リーダーが連れてこいと。ザクスが。それはともかく、組み敷く必要はあるまい。むやみに乱暴するな。
こいつは犯罪者ですよ。遠慮なんか必要ないはず。
無防備の女に暴力を振るうなど無様だ。弱者にしか威張れないのかと陰で笑われるぞ。
Sir Ines turned his gaze to me and told me to stand up. My giant squirted and I had to steady myself against the wall.
連れてこいとザクスに言われたのは確かなんだな。はい。診察の後、第三独房に入れておけと。なるほど。わかった。彼女は自分が連れて行く。意義のある者はいるか？
There was silence. Sir Ines looked at the hounds and nodded.
おのおの通常任務へ戻れ。解散。
The order
Oh,
dispersed
Ines.
immediately. In less than a minute, we were alone.
Thank you for asking me, Sir Ines.
勘違いするな。救助ではなく連行を引き継いだだけだ。だいたい自分はなぜ君が連行されるのか理由を知らん。
Well, we'll see.
言うな。情が移ってはいけない。ザクスの命令を引き継いだ以上、自分は黙って従わねばならん。
Mau apa sih sakti?
I see. Still, let me thank you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't come. I wonder what the man wanted to do with me.
I truly didn't know, but I did know it was nothing good.
Thank you.
これから牢に入れられるというのに変だな。
Shrugging off his confusion, Sir Ernest took out a rope used to restrain prisoners.
単独で罪人を連行する場合、拘束が義務付けられている。縛らせてもらうぞ。いいか？
Eh? We are both at once, Sir Ines. There's no need to ask me if you have to do it anyway.
I put my arms behind my back to make it easier for him to tie them.
それもそうか。
His movements were a little clumsy. I could feel the rope caving at my skin. It was an unfamiliar pressure. Yeah.
では行こう。まっすぐ歩け。
Roger that.
When
When I was still police officer, I was the one restraining people.
Flashback mulu Hani, kenapa ya? I felt a wave of dismay and let Ines direct my walking. We were going straight towards the headquarters of the hounds, the place the people in the sanctuary district feared most.
Grisard さん。
おや、イネス君。それと。
Halo, guys.
Ketemu lagi.
Konbanwa. Konnichiwa. Konbanwa.
どうも。
Konbanwa.
こんな遅くにどうしました？ああ、いえ。話は伺っていますよ。はい。
Glisade stood up and read through some paper on his desk.
診察をしろとザクセン君に言われています。しかし驚きました。まさか君が彼女を連れてくるとは。
成り行きで引き継いだだけです。お気になさらず。
Glisade gestured toward a chair and I sat down.
おや、頬に擦り傷がありますね。どうしました？
There was some coughing.
そうですか。立場が変わっても元気なようで。
Kalem sekali suaranya Glisade-san. Glisade got at a gauze with some kind of disinfectant and pressed it to my cheeks. I winced.
この程度の痛みでうめいていては身が持ちませんよ。ね。
そうかもな。
What do you mean, Sir Ines?
ザクスの考えていることはわからないが、奴が独房を利用するのは大抵が懲罰目的だ。おそらくお前も例外ではない。
Punish?
理由がわからないのですか？
I protected a woman from a violent member of the hounds yesterday.
At the time that had seemed like the correct course of action.
It only made it harder for the elites and I was captured as well. Are you saying I shouldn't have protected her? Should I have just ignored her?
お前の気持ちはわからんでもない。だが規則は規則だ。上界での常識や正義はここでは通用しない。そしてここでの規則はハウンズが決める。歯向かえば罰せられる。当然のことだ。
But
まあまあ、これでも飲んで落ち着いてください。
Glisade gave me some water and a pained smile. Thank you. I drank all of it. It didn't calm me down.
君は長生きしたいですか？それとも早死にしたいですか？
Listen.
質問を変えてもいいですよ。楽に死にたいですか？それとも苦しみながら死にたいですか？
どういうことですか？なんかちょっと怖い。
怖いよ。
怖いよ。
ここ保護地区ではハウンズが頂点であり絶対なんです。不時には飲まれよと言うでしょ。あれこれ難しいことを考えないで、ただ従いなさい。
Perhaps, but it's hard to accept that. This may not be the hay, but the hounds are still a part of the temple. They are supposed to serve the people. We can accept the unjust and arbitrary violence.
ハウンズの副リーダーたる自分の前で言い切るとは大したものだ。
はよ。
Aduh.
君がどうなるかはさておき、早死にはしてほしくないですね。 若い人間の解剖ほど辛いものはありませんから。栄養不足以外は問題ないようです。収容を認めます。
わかりました。行くぞ。
He tapped my shoulder and I stood up.
Thank you, Grisare.
ええ、お大事に。まずは独房を生きて出られることを祈っていますよ。ザクセン君が無茶をしなければいいのですが。
Kayaknya muri deh gelisah deh.
Wah, aku disiksa tidak.
I didn't know how long it had been since I entered solitary confinement. I could tell that it hadn't been multiple days yet based on my general health level, but that was all. The cell was probably underground. There were no windows. Inside my cell there was a simple wooden bed. Outside was a hallway. There was no clock or anything else that made a sound. When I held my breath, it was as if I wasn't there either. All I had to go the passage of time were the footsteps I heard several times a day.
The time isn't all I've lost track of.
I didn't know what Rielit and Marlot were doing either. I tried asking the people who came to me, but they never gave me an answer.
I wonder if they are all right.
よう、元気にしてるか？んだよ、愛想悪いね。飯も食ってねえのか。水はちょっと飲んでるみたいだが。ハンガーストライキってやつか。バカだな。
The man from the hounds leaned down and switched the food I hadn't touched with new food.
薬も飲んでねえのかよ。ほんとバカだな。
Medicine?
Marlot Chuan gave me that too. Marlot had told me that if the people in the sanctuary district didn't take that medicine, they felt bad.
Why do they feel bad? Why does the medicine make it better?
I didn't know. It was very odd.
I can't take something I don't know.
無知はこれだから困る。上界の人間は下界の空気に慣れてない。ハウンズが配給する薬を飲まないと病気になんだよ。親切で恵んでやってるんだぜ。感謝しろよ、罪人。
The man threw me a little bottle with pills. It rolled off my body and onto the floor.
じゃあな、死ぬのは勝手だが、俺が当番じゃない時に死んでくれよ。
Then he left. I kicked the little bottle across the room. The man had said that my body wasn't used to the air and needed the medicine to avoid getting sick.
It's true that I haven't felt very good down here.
I'd been
Kayaknya doping deh itu mah.
Kayaknya ya. I'd been feeling exhausted, sleepy, unfocused, and my joint had ached.
I wonder what I should be doing.
I didn't want to die. I wanted to survive and return to the heat. Still, my desire not to bow to the hounds was too strong.
Like hell, I'm going to let them help me.
Unable to make up my mind, I touched my pendant and stared at the floor. Titik titik titik. Titik 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 titik. Titik titik titik.
I can hear footsteps.
They were heavy, dragging slightly over the floor.
It's not one of the guards.
Oh no. That said, I had the energy for anything. I didn't move. I didn't even open my eyes. I was totally disinterested in who was coming.
Boo様だな、小娘。
No!
Oh, so sad.
No! その声は
That voice?
怖い
Oh, so sad. So sad.
俺が来たんだ。身だしなみくらい整えろ。
People, what are you talking about?
ここ保護地区の頂点たる俺が直々に顔を見せてやってるんだ。喜んだらどうだ？何がおかしい？
Not being able to tell when someone hurts you must be a nice way to live.
My thoughts were slow and clumsy, and I couldn't bring myself to care much about anything anymore.
I couldn't even speak properly.
Still, I wanted to tell him something, so I strewed what little energy I had left, sat up and glared at him.
It's all well and good when you've got the power. No matter how many you hurt, everyone will grovel at your feet. But you don't inspire a single one of them. You are nothing but a tyrant with nothing to back you except fear and coercion. And someday, when your power was withered, you'll face a reckoning. Brandenburg. Why?
力が衰える覚悟。口だけは達者だな。現実を見ろ、現実を。
Tarzan grabbed me by the collar and lifted me up. Alasia. His eyes were cold and hard, piercing me like ice. Islas apa?
誰が俺に逆らえるというんだ。いや、誰も逆らえまい。
Orang ini mentalnya terganggu. Mirai lelah.
逆らう者を皆殺してきた。気に入らないものも全部この手で壊してきた。
Aku bersyukur kamu gak ada rutenya, Sasen.
Oh iya kah?
Gak ada. Kalau nggak salah nggak ada gitu.
Kalau ada kayaknya capek.
Capek nggak akan aku kejar, nggak.
Are you going to kill me too?
Aku tidak bisa ngejustify sikapnya.
Zetsubo.
Zetsubo. Yes, bear.
貴様には絶望が足りん。楽に殺してやるものか。気に入らないのだ。その目が。
The hand on my collar disappeared. Instead, his hand closed around my throat without mercy. Alas ya, dicekek, Anase.
I can't breathe.
I tried to fight him off, but I was far too weak.
どうだ、苦しいか。死の淵は見えたか。だが、まだだ。
Sasan had lifted me off the ground by my throat. Now he threw me against the wall. Aduh, dialungkan, dilempar kita. Nah. Punten Yuuki dan Hani Haninozuka. Panggil aja Mirai. Halo Kirel, selamat malam. Selamat datang di streamnya.
Halo Kirel, panggil saja Hani. Welcome, thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. Enjoy the stream. Kita sedang disiksa.
Sedang disiksa.
苦しかったろ。好きなだけ空気を吸え。死の淵まで追い詰めて、逃がして、追い詰めて、その目が濁るまでどこまでも追いかけてやる。絶望に染まったその時、楽にしてやろう。空気は十分吸ったな。さあ、次だ。
ここにいたか、ザクス。
いいねす。何の用だ。
新人が到着した。面談をするんだろう。
新人? Sasan kept his eye on me as he listened to Serena's.
貴様のような女、簡単には殺さん。追い詰めて追い詰めて、猟犬に噛み殺させてやる。
言ったか。あまりザクスを挑発するな。
I offered no reply. Serena sighed and looked around my cell.
料理がそのまま。その姿、食べていないんだな。
He picked up the bowl of oatmeal and approached me, leaning down. He forced my mouth open with one hand and forced feeding me a spoonful of food with the others. What the? やめて。
食べるというのならやめてやる。食べないというのであれば、食べさせるまでだ。
なんで? He shoved another mouthful in. I began to choke. Serena's looked down at me and sighed.
飲まず食わずで何が成し遂げられるというんだ。 こんな場所で顔貫いてもお前のためにはならない。
Painis suka
Kok
deket-deket
disini,
ya mukanya.
文字通り
Tim
無駄死にだぞ。
Why?
うん。
You are with the hounds. The others said they said the hound wouldn't help me. So why aren't you the same as them?
自分はハウンズとしての務めを果たしているだけ。これはお前を思っての行動ではない。だからこそここでは死なせない。殺せとは言われていないからな。急がずとも人はいつか死ぬものだ。ならばそのせい全うするがいい。しぶとく生きることも抗う方法のうちだ。
Kind of rebellion?
I wondered if Sir Ines realized that I was refusing to eat as a way to show resistance.
He probably does.
He was also trying to give me advice.
I have no idea why he's doing this.
I knew that I had to change my approach, my way of thinking. I'd lost my parents and be exiled to the sanctuary district, but I was still alive. So far, I'd survived. Didn't I swear to myself that I'd survive? I'd sworn to myself that the chaos wouldn't swallow me, that I would endure it. So,
It's too early to give up. I have to live through this. Thank you, Sir Ines.
I tried
I
to
will.
stand up, but my legs were too weak and I fell. Sir Ines caught me before I hit the ground.
食事をとり、体調を整えることから始めることだ。いいな。
Oh my
His whisper were low and calming. I feel safe. Okay, I promise and close my eyes. I stopped refusing food after Sir Ines admonished me for it. The hounds used this opportunity to insult me again, but now that I had changed my way of thinking, that meant nothing to me. I started eating and taking my medicine again, and it gave me back some positivity. I realized belatedly that food feels the heart as much as it does the stomach.
準備はできたか?
What junbi nani ga?
Junbi ga?
Nani junbi? Sorry.
Sir Ines?
Nani
という
junbi?
より、立てるのか?
The night before the day of my release, Sen had come to my cell. He'd punched and kicked me, but had stopped short of killing me.
Bear talk about hating my eyes, if I remember right.
I hated more than just his eyes. I hated everything about him. I was determined to not fall into despair.
I'll never do what he wants me to do. What if I can't stand?
立てるようになるまでここで過ごしてもらう。
I'd rather not. I see. I'll stand.
I steadied myself against the wall and pushed myself up.
大丈夫か?
대접이지 않네요.
Just don't touch me. I can do this. I don't need support. If I can stand, I can live.
わかった。
I have to focus on standing.
One by one, I forced my limbs back under my control.
Okay, this is going to work.
Suddenly, I looked up at Sir Ines.
I'm okay. Let's go.
Sir Ines gave me a long, searching look, then shook his head.
すまない。やはりその傷。お前はここから出るべきではないと思う。
But no, I want to live. Session is just going to come back. If you are waiting for a full recovery, I'll be here forever. Please let me out. Sir Ines, please.
まず、
Please,
その傷を治さなければいけない。グリッサードさんの元へ向かう。それで、
Biarkan aku pulang.
彼が
Aduh, aduh, aduh.
That's the only way you know.
Ah, I see.
わかった。行くぞ。
行くよ。
Good.
I wonder what this is going to say about these injuries.
I made a decision to head as many of them as I could and play down the pain I was in.
But hiding injuries from a doctor won't be easy.
There was a possibility that he was going to send me back to my cell. I followed Sir Ines and curtained both on my feet and in my mind.
おやおや、これはひどいやられようですね。打撲に切り傷。全治するには何日かかるやら。
I'm not looking for healing. I want out. I want you to let me out.
おい。
Ines told me that I can leave if you give the okay.
判断次第。
ここにいてもザクスに怪我を負わされ完治はできない。というのが彼女の見解です。
なるほど。まあそうですね。彼は執着心が強いですから。いいでしょう。許可しましょう。
Thank you.
本当によろしいんですか？
ええ。まあ打撲ですし、彼女は若いんです。時間はかかるでしょうが、塗り薬と自然治癒力でなんとかなるでしょう。精神衛生的にも狭い空間に閉じ込めておくよりは日の元に出してあげた方がいいでしょうし。ただし気をつけてください。ここは病院ではなくハウンズ付きの医療施設ですので、一歩外へ出れば頼ることはできません。外でやはり治療を続けてほしいと願っても無理なんです。構いませんか？
Yes, that's fine. His injuries are nothing compared to being held captive.
わかりました。しっかり休息と栄養を取るように、ハウンズが配給する薬を必ず服用してくださいね。
The medicine.
The medicine? No wonder help at all, but
I judge it prudent to keep that to myself and added.
くれぐれも無茶はしないでくださいね。お大事に。
arigato. Arigato. You're being a big help, Lisa.
Alas ya. Nani? I twitched startled at the sound.
What was that?
ああ、すみません。そこに重傷の者がいまして、治療中なんです。
Grisada gestured toward a curtain. The patient must have been on the other side.
The patient here, they must be a criminal. Perhaps the hunted in the state?
気になりますか？
Yes, it said that someone got so injured.
お前は他人の心配ではなく自分の心配をすべきだ。
それはもっともです。私はこれから彼の治療があるので。
ええ。退出し、彼女を送っていきます。行くぞ。
なんで見たい誰？
Okay, thanks, Grisada.
やったkita keluar. I blinked hard, my eyes unaccustomed to the light. After my long confinement, just standing out in the open was a small joy. I watched her in a return into the building, then walked away toward the sanctuary district, that den of criminals. It had been a few days since the last time I walked down the main road. It seemed more vibrant and alive to me than before.
I'm pretty sure I'm the one who's different.
When I looked into their faces, I still saw heavy expression and eyes gray as the ocean sky. They were weighted down by the heavy punishments of this place and the grim future ahead, and yet still they persevered just like me.
I'm who I am for as long as I live.
I didn't know how long my life might be, and so all I could hope to do was live with integrity for whatever length of time I had.
I'm a bit nervous.
I'd reached Reliot's and Merlot's house. I hesitated. I didn't know what to say about the past few days.
Do they know where I was? Actually, more impersonally. Are they okay?
I tried to listen but heard nothing. There was no indication anyone was inside. I began to worry.
Why? It's the hounds?
お姉ちゃんだ
Merlot!
That voice!
Merlot!
Wow!
おかえりなさいお姉ちゃん
Merlot, tadaima!
Yay! Merlot!
ほ
Merlot
らね、
too.
メルロ。ちゃんと戻ってくると言ったでしょ。
Really?
メルロったら聞かなくて。今日もあなたを探しに行くって言って朝から連れ回されてたのよ。
Kawaii.
I'm sorry. I'm glad you are both okay.
無事も何も。あの日数時間ここを離れろって言われて戻ってきたら誰もいなくて待っても待っても帰ってこなくて今日で1週間になるかしら。
Ishukan? Seminggu?
Is you calm?
Seminggu?
ここでは何があるかわからないからもう戻ってこないかもって。
僕は信じてたよお姉ちゃん絶対戻ってくるって
そうね。戻っ
おかえりなさいお姉ちゃん
Hi. It's good to be back. Tadaima. Had the horns kept their promise?
It seems so unlikely, but the pair truly did appear unharmed.
擦り傷だらけね。体力はありそうだけど向こうで何かされた？
Ah, a bit. But I'll be fine. I'm used to braces like this.
そう無茶しないでね。今から夕食を作るわね。メルロ、お使い頼んだわよ。
The pills?
うん配給所に薬をもらいに行くんだ
I see. I'll go with you.
いいよいつも一人だから危なくないしお姉ちゃん怪我してるんでしょ
Don't worry about that. I just hurt a little. It's no big deal. Besides, I couldn't move a lot over the last few days. I want to talk. I want to walk a little. Alright?
わかったじゃあ一緒に行こう
Merlot took my hands and laughed.
See you later.
気をつ
See
けて
you
ね。
later.
Itakimasu. I turned around after we'd walked a little. Reliot was waving her hand and smiling.
Nice to know that someone is waiting for you.
We headed towards the subway station hand in hand. Wow. Merlot led me to the subway station. There was a queue but not particularly long one.
I'm not comfortable doing this.
As we joined the line, I hoped that we'd be finished quickly.
Melox, you told me that you and the others take medicine to feel better. You mean this medicine?
うんそうだよ保護地区の人はあのお薬を飲まないと体がボロボロになるってだから飲むんだ僕ボロボロになりたくないもん
I see. It must be a pretty grave affliction.
I found it strange that there was a specific disease that only occurred in the sanctuary district. I pondered this as I watched Merlot collect his medicine. The hounds gave Merlot a bag of pills. Everything was fine.
ちょろまかしてないだろうな、坊主。
そんなことしてないよ。ちゃんと見て。
Why is he giving them food in return? The medicine isn't free?
ああ、お前は坊主。その女は坊主の知り合いか？
うん、そうだよ。お姉ちゃんも一緒に暮らしてるんだ。
そうか。じゃあ女の分も薬を出さないとな。食料を渡せ。
持ってないし。お母さんはお姉ちゃんの薬の分も入れたって言ってたよ。
バカか。足りないくらいだ。仕方ないな。その薬は没収だ。
どうして？やだよ。これがないとダメなんだ。
It's fine. I don't need medicine. If I start feeling weird, I'll bear with it.
でも死んじゃうって聞いたよ。僕、お姉ちゃんが死ぬのは嫌だよ。
Mellow-chan? I don't know what happened without the medicine. For all I know, I may actually die, but it's okay. My body is strong. I won't die. Oh, let's ask him to give you back your share now.
そうだな。じゃあお前の胸のそれと交換ってのはどうだ？
Pendantnya.
You mean the pendant?
I clutched the pendant, hoping to hide it from sight, but the hounds were looking at it with obvious interest.
It belongs to the Tistella family. I can't give it away. Why? I told you that I don't need medicine.
ああ、だが俺はそれが欲しい。それをくれれば薬は返してやるよ。どうだ？
It wasn't just a matter of being difficult to replace. The pendant had been made when the Tistellas were elevated to court rank, handed down ever since.
It's irreplaceable.
But
Alright, hand over the medicine first.
そっちが先だ。
No, the medicine you come first. Don't worry, I keep my promises.
わかった。ほらよ、坊主。
the member of the hounds tossed the bag of medicine carelessly at Merlot, then opened his palm at me.
すげえ。こんな綺麗なシルバーここじゃ見られないぞ。ついてるぜ。
お姉ちゃん。
Let's go, Merlot.
お姉ちゃん、本当に良かったの？あれ、すごく綺麗だった。お姉ちゃんの大切なものじゃないの？
Oh, it was very important to me, but yes.
I pressed Merlot's hands.
It was handed down in my family for generation, but it's just an object. The pride I really don't want to lose is inside my heart, so this is fine.
お姉ちゃん。
Let's go back. Really must be sick with anxiety. Anxiety. I'll be fine. The sense of loss will disappear.
Rayleigh and Merlot had done much for me. I wanted to do something, even if it was only a little, to repay them. I hadn't given it up for no reason. I was sure my mother and the Tistellas before her would have understood. I placed my hand over my neck, feeling the absence of something that belonged to me. Ay, Hani, jangan. Sudah jam segini.
Hai.
Jadi seperti biasa kita pause dulu gamenya untuk diteruskan
Hai.
di kesempatan berikutnya. Sejauh ini bagaimanakah ceritanya, Nita?
Wah, sudah mulai banyak karakter, konflik sudah mulai banyak. Sudah
Iya,
mulai menegangkan.
menegangkan ya. Aduh, kita disiksa seminggu gitu.
Iya, tapi masih awal-awal sih. Tapi mulai banyak dikenalin. Tiba-tiba ada fitur up. Itu yang
Fitur
konyol
up.
mah yang awal-awal tuh siapa coba?
Iya, itu siapa
Tiba-tiba
tiba-tiba
up
kita
sendiri.
dapat up-nya.
Terus
Namanya
screen
belum
sendiri
ketahuan.
terus. Oh, mending si Ulrik lucu kayak aku.
Eh.
Rambutnya sama.
Iya,
Kaget.
rambutnya sama. Apakah kita akan mengajar Rute Ulrik demi rambutnya?
Maksud gara-gara rambut doang. Aduh. Udah jelas Sir Ines mantep.
Emang Sir Ines ada rutenya ya?
Saya nggak tahu.
Coba ya aku cari dulu.
Soalnya sih kayaknya sih enggak sih.
Steam
Pasti yang enggak,
Pleasant.
yang ada rutenya itu yang aneh-aneh. Yang tiba-tiba datang.
Bentar ya. Siapa sih namanya teh? Ines apa sih? Oh, ada.
Ini...
ada.
Oh, ada ya.
Jadi Ulrik ada. Ines ada. Terus yang si Saint Yune-nya teh ya. Ingat?
Saint Yune ada?
Ada.
Buset, perasaan nggak sama sekali.
Tapi ininya si rutenya emang kelok gitu.
Oh.
Baru bisa diambil kalau udah nyelesain rutenya Ulrik.
Wah. Saint Yune Ulrik. Ah, oke. Menarik. Sasennya
Terus-
nggak ada mah ya?
Iya, Sasen untungnya gak ada. Iya. Iya, tuh katanya Haira setelah mengincar Pak Ines nih. Iya, kayaknya.
Atau Pak Ines the best kaicho.
The
Kaicho.
Terus ini ada rekomendasi yang buat diikutin senasi itunya rutenya.
Siapa?
Kata ini yang review gamenya gitu. Rutenya
Ah.
Ulrik itu lebih enak kedua katanya.
Kedua maksudnya?
Dimainin kedua gitu. Jadi yang pertama kamu ngincar orang lain dulu.
Oh.
Terus rutenya Ines ini keberapa? 1, 2, 3, keempat.
Wah, keempat ternyata.
Terus setelahnya Yune, baru Vin. Gitu, Vin terakhir pokoknya.
Vin kan emang nggak bisa kebuka kan? Harus beres dulu.
Oh, yang pertama rute si Eta. Naruhodo.
Belum datang.
Orangnya udah datang. Yang tadi gitu. Si kacamata
Yang
itu
tadi
yang si kacamata itu direkomendasiin buat dikejar pertama kata orang ini.
Jelas itu yang direkomendasiin.
Oke deh. Yuk kita lanjut. Siapa tahu minggu depan kita mulai masuk ke rute.
Hai.
Ya, kita akhiri dulu di sini.
Hai.
Bye, selamat malam.
Bye.
Yasumi, matane, atsukare. Bye.
Ayasumi nachai.
Oyasumi nasai.
Bye.
Bye.